Hello, everyone. Gary Laubach, Mike Joseph. This is Behind the Mic, and the season gets a little bit more important this week as Lafayette travels to Hamilton, New York, to Andy Kerr Stadium. Well, they'll take on Colgate. Colgate already 1-0 in the Patriot League, looking to go 2-0. Lafayette opening the Patriot League season. Colgate, of course, coached by Dan Hunt. Hard to believe, Mike, that he's in his fifth year already, that Dick Biddle's been gone that long, and pretty good success against Lafayette. They've won 5 of the last 6. They've won 3 in a row. Lafayette hasn't won since 2014.
Yeah, and it's not like us to go up there this early in the season. Usually we're going up there on Halloween or something like that, and the weather's changing. So hopefully the weather won't be a factor, as it usually is in Hamilton. But getting back to Coach Hunt, he's done a fantastic job. I mean, the thing I always liked about him is the way he recruits. He recruits players for his certain offensive scheme, and he recruits players on defense that are tough and strong and can rush the passer.
Certainly they do that. As we look at this ball club, they are on a 7-game winning streak if you count the games they played last year. It's the second longest winning streak in the nation right now. Only North Carolina A&T, they've won 15 in a row. They are the only ones that have a better winning streak. When you look at this team statistically, there's not a whole bunch of things that stick out except maybe the fact that they only give up 10 points a game. But offensively, Mike, 110 yards rushing, 139 yards passing is their average. That's not so great.
No, and not for a Colgate team that usually averages somewhere between 150 and 200 yards on the ground. They have to have their running game going. If you go back and you look at the last game they played, which was 2 weeks ago against New Hampshire, they didn't run the ball very, very well. And why would you against a CAA opponent? They got an early turnover, turned that into points, got the lead. But New Hampshire was very upset after reading some of their blogs and the fact that they thought they should have pitched a shutout. So Colgate has struggled a little bit running the football because everything comes off of that. Everything comes off the read option. And for Grant Brenneman, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best quarterback in the league, both from a running standpoint and a passing standpoint, you know that Coach Hunt needs to get those numbers inflated.
And they always have a hard-nosed, tough running back. They've got that again in James Holland. And, of course, they had a bye week last week. They didn't get to play because of Florence, so their game with Furman was canceled. They will not play it at all. Advantage, disadvantage?
You know, the more I think about it, I thought originally, well, 2 weeks to prepare for Lafayette. But at the same time, you don't get to play. And I don't think that is very good. You want to be able to keep consistency, especially when you're 2-0 and you're on a little bit of a roll. You just beat a CAA team. You're coming in I think there's somewhat of a disadvantage if I continue to look at it. You want to get as many reps, especially this early in the season, under your belt. And like you said, they have somewhat of a kind of a rebuilt offensive line a little bit. And defensively, I think as well as they're playing, they want to get back on the field.
They've got 2 outstanding defensive players in Nick Wheeler and Tony Castillo, so we certainly have to be concerned particularly about Castillo. He's a guy that will intercept the football on just about every other game, as he has already 8 interceptions in his career. Looking at Lafayette last week, there's good news and there's bad news, and it's almost in each one of the areas. Offensively, we moved the ball fairly well. We had problems, though, when we needed to score.
Yeah, it's the consistency offensively. There are great spurts where you and I sit back and go, wow, you know, O'Malley throws great ball. And then we miss, you know, a 70-yard touchdown pass, or we, you know, kind of trip and fall down, or we have a negative play, which puts us again with that small margin of error that we have. But the consistency, I think you can see it getting better. They're running the ball a little bit better than they did last year. That has to improve again. You can't just rely on the pass all the time, especially. But the RPOs were fantastic. Getting the ball out of Sean's hands, I thought he was accurate, and we know how his completion percentage goes up when he knows where he's throwing the football.
And defensively, we had a number of great stops in the ball game. We did not allow them to get a lot of third down, first downs. We stopped them on 4th down and 4th and 1. All of that good, but we still gave up over 500 yards of total offense.
Yeah, and you faced Kenji Behar, who was a fantastic quarterback, and getting him out of the pocket. I still think Lafayette has some areas they need to shore up defensively, and that's their rush lanes, and you need to do that against Colgate this week. You can't allow Grant Brenneman to get out of the pocket because he will turn that not only into big gains, but turn it into touchdowns. And then once you get outside the pocket, now your receivers can scramble and work back to you, and they have some good ones in Owen Rocket.
I wish the story was different on special teams because we certainly had some good. The kickoff return by J.J. Younger for 94 yards. We did a nice job for the most part on the special teams, but we also had some problems because we had a field goal block, an extra point that was blocked. So a lot of good and bad.
Yeah, and it goes back to consistency. Lafayette has to be better in all areas, especially against a team like Colgate. They need to be hitting on all cylinders. But I see a lot of improvement from Game 1 to Game 3. Now, Game 4, I wish this game was at home. I really do. Having to go up to Hamilton, a little bit different situation. But I think Lafayette, I have a really good feeling about them overall. I think they're starting to believe a little bit. They're playing younger players. Remember, a lot of these younger players, this is their third or fourth start. You get 3 or 4 starts, you get 100 reps under your belt or 200 reps under your belt, makes a big difference. I have a pretty good feeling that Lafayette is going to be better defensively and put some points on the board.
You can only watch the ball game on the Patriot League Network. We will not be up there to broadcast that football game. It is a very important first game in the Patriot League against the team that's favored to win the league. No reason not to watch. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock. For GoLeopards.com, he's Mike. I'm Gary. Thanks for being with us.